Welcome back. Former President Trump and Vice President Harris are set to face off in their first presidential, maybe the only presidential debate tonight. We'll see. The stakes couldn't be higher as both candidates enter the home stretch of the campaign. And all of this comes as another government shutdown could loom at the end of the month. Here to weigh in on what to expect in the weeks ahead and tonight, Kim Wallace is Senior Managing Director and Head of Washington Policy Research at 22V. Kim, it's great to check in with you again. Listen, we know the debate can literally end presidential campaigns. So the significance is actually, I think, pretty. It sounds like many Americans are still tuning in. And the 3 in 10, according to one poll I saw, said it could influence the way they vote.
I think that's right, Kelly. And it's, as you say, unlikely to be as catastrophic for either candidate, although, we don't make predictions in any races, certainly not this race. But it will reset at least the perceptions of some unaffiliated voters and maybe members of the base. And so, yes, tonight is a significant event for both. I would imagine that former President Trump will want to stress the advantages that show up in the polls, economic policy and leadership, while Vice President Harris likely will lean into her advantages that include democratic freedoms and broad ranges of social policy, including health care, from elder care all the way through to women's reproductive rights. And so, yes, each one will want to protect losing any support among their base and then reach out for unaffiliated voters to broaden their base.
When you talk to clients about the big takeaways so far, I mean, again, tonight is more about presentation, in a way, persuasiveness, charisma, all of those things, perhaps more so than policy. On the policy proposals, the polls, the aggregated polls that I see tend to suggest Trump with more momentum in the last couple of weeks as these policy proposals have been unveiled. Do you think that's accurate, and what do you make of that?
I see that trend in terms of a snapback from the tremendous momentum that the vice president enjoyed from July 22nd and the 4 or 5 weeks after that. Most of the data I see show a competitive race at the top. Most of those data are within the margin of error. At the sub-presidential level in the House and the Senate, particularly in swing states, Harris has held on to some advantages she's gained in the last month in some key swing states. And in the House in particular, election analysts are moving from the certain Republican category to either toss-up or, moreover, leaning toward Democrat in some of the states, such as Florida, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia. So we would expect a very competitive race up and down the ticket with close margins, regardless of the balance of power after November 5th.
Kim, I wonder why you think the Democrats, and Kamala Harris in particular, have had such a hard time making the case for economic performance under the Biden-Harris administration. Growth is higher than it was under the previous administration. Jobs have been added at a very high pace. Oil prices coming down. Production of oil is at an all-time high. Inflation is falling from a high point. And there have been 38 stock market records so far this year. Why doesn't that message stick?
Tyler, from your lips, they would say to voters' ears, but I think it's a very straightforward reason: incumbency. Americans are facing, relative to any time in modern history, tougher prices on the household budget. And whether or not the Biden-Harris administration and the vice president deserves blame for that is irrespective. Incumbents usually absorb disproportionate amount of blame on economic issues. It also presents an opportunity, I would think, as we close out the last 2 months for the Harris campaign to stress some of the points you made.
Does it matter that Congress could end up not being on the campaign trail if there's a shutdown fight in sort of the October weeks as the November election date approaches, given what you said about the way that fight is looking?
It would matter immensely, I would think, which is one of the reasons we are highly certain there's not going to be a shutdown.
All right.
All right, Kim, thank you very much. Kim Wallace, we appreciate your time today.